Good morning. As of today, we are at 2,752 confirmed cases in Baltimore City, an increase of 738 over the last 7 days. I know I said this last week and I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today. Everyone needs to stay home unless you are going out for an essential reason. If you must go out for an essential reason, everyone should be wearing a face covering. We have way too many people outside aimlessly and too many residents out in public without a mask. This covering isn't for you, it is to protect everyone you come in contact with. It symbolizes that you care about your fellow resident. Every time you leave your house, you put yourself and everyone in your household at risk. This includes everyone you come into contact with too. Your family, your friends, and your neighbors. We must keep up our social distancing and mitigation practice to continue flattening the curve. Now to the business of the day. Today, I have some great news for our families in Baltimore. As long as I've been in public service, and I truly believe that's what this job is all about, serving the public, I've always had two guiding principles: constituent service and an unwavering commitment to children. My commitment to children guided me to create the Office of the Children and Family Success as one of my first acts as mayor. This office had provided policy guidance, expanded youth programming, and fostered deep community partnerships in support of Baltimore's children and families. My commitment to the children led me to reopen rec centers on Saturdays to give our youth safe places to play and learn. My commitment to children made it easy for me to step up and pledge that Baltimore City will not only provide a bridge to Kerwin, but we must also meet our obligation to fully fund Kerwin. My commitment to children is why I passed legislation creating the first of its kind, Baltimore Children's and Youth Fund, which has provided a dedicated funding source that allows the city to fund a critical and urgent need today. And that time, unyielding commitment to the children is why I'm happy to announce that today I'm officially transmitting $3 million to the Baltimore City Public Schools for use in closing the digital achievement gap facing the children in the city. I thank the council for moving swiftly to pass legislation to allow this one-time funding for an essential need. And I also want to thank Dr. Santelises, who is here with us today, and her team at City Schools have been great partners. I also want to acknowledge the great work of Councilman Zeke Cohen, who pushed very hard to make sure that we had funding in place for our young people. Together, we have fought to advance our shared commitment to provide the very best for the young people of Baltimore, despite the legacy of underinvestment and inadequate funding. In this time of uncertainty, it is critically important to me that we remain steadfast in our commitment to our young people. And this week is actually Teachers Appreciation Week. And 1 month into the district's distance learning effort is a perfect time to recognize our 5,000 classroom heroes. Our teachers are heroes in the best of circumstances. They have one of the most important jobs of all, preparing our children for successful, fulfilling futures. So without further ado, I'm happy to present you with this check for $3 million for our student. And it's so great to be able to present this during Teachers Appreciation Week because this greatly improves their ability to engage students.
Hello, everyone. It is good to be here. And as we know, this unprecedented crisis is impacting all communities across the country, the world, and clearly here in Baltimore City. We also know that some of our most vulnerable families are the hardest hit in times like this. We have, as city schools, moved immediately to increase access for our young people to virtual learning through technology. We had already redistributed some of our funds to purchase close to 11,000 Chromebooks. With that, we still fell far short of where our target is, which is making sure that all families and all students have access. So with that context, the mayor's announcement today is a welcome addition, a welcome boost. I want to thank the leadership of Mayor Young, of our City Council President, of our City Council, in really stepping forward and providing this additional money. And as the mayor pointed out, the city had already committed to fully contribute to Kerwin and additional funding for schools. And so in these pressing times, I think it is a very important signal to our young people of the importance that our city leadership and elected officials place on the learning for our next generation of Baltimoreans. So we are thrilled that $3 million will go towards the purchase of an additional close to 3,500 Chromebooks and devices. It will also help provide those families with challenged access to broadband with increased broadband. So this is not a minor contribution. This is not a minor investment, and it is one that I am pleased and thrilled on behalf of all of Baltimore City's students, their families, our teachers, to say thank you so much for Baltimore City leadership for really stepping up and with words and deed supporting our young people. So again, thank you to Mayor Young, thank you to the City Council President, just for all of the work that you all have done to make this possible. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And the CEO of the school system, she's going to have to leave because she has to be somewhere at 11. That's why we moved her up first. Zeke will come up with some brief remarks.
So I want to begin by thanking Mayor Young for his ongoing commitment to our children. It is no mystery that this man has, through the Youth Fund, through this historic commitment to closing the digital divide, really championed children in this moment of crisis. We worked collectively, myself, the mayor, President Scott, to come up with this really important investment in closing the digital divide. And I also just want to lift up the role that community played in making this happen. We have students, Yashira and Kimberly, who wrote to us. We have a teacher, Franca, who's here with us. The teachers union was essential in pushing to make this happen. We have Andrew Coy from the Digital Harbor Foundation. This is about a city that faced a profound crisis that came together and put the needs of children above politics. And I think it shows a lot of maturity and leadership on the part of the mayor, the president, the council, all of us working together, that we were able to get this done and make what is truly a historic commitment to closing the digital divide. So again, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of the work that went into, in no time flat, passing the Youth Fund ordinance, Mayor Young and his team championing that, and this is about how do we all move forward together. And the final thing I want to do is thank Dr. Sanalices and her team. Chief Tina Hike-Hubbard have been extraordinary in getting the devices in the hands of children. But again, I challenge any other city in America to respond the way Baltimore has in this crisis, to making sure our kids can learn online right now. So again, thank you, Mayor Young, and thank all of the community that made this happen.
That was the briefest I ever heard you. That's why I said brief, because he's passionate just like I am about our young people. So again, I want to thank Dr. Sanalices and thank you all of our educational professionals across the city, keeping our young people engaged on this virtual learning period. Next, at the Board of Estimates this morning, I introduced my FY21 budget. Due to the economic hardships and financial pressures placed upon Baltimore City by the COVID-19 pandemic, this budget literally had to be rewritten in a month from scratch. This was an incredibly difficult budget process. Every city and county in the country are facing difficult budgetary decisions, and Baltimore is no different from any of them. What sets us apart, however, is the fact that even in the face of financial pressure, our commitment to our children and families is rock solid. The budget I presented makes very clear that Baltimore values its children, older adults, and most vulnerable residents. Even with this economic downturn, I believe that this is a smart and realistic budget. It is unclear how long the pandemic will last and how quickly the economy can rebound. In March, I instituted a non-essential hiring and spending freeze for the city of Baltimore. This ensures that the city is only spending what is necessary to deliver core services. As we prepare to emerge from this global health emergency, while the city economic outlook remains uncertain, my proposed budget creates a realistic path forward for Baltimore. Finally, I'm proud to announce our very first virtual gallery exhibition featuring one of Baltimore's most acclaimed and celebrated artists, Devin Allen. His exhibit is called The Beautiful Journey, The Lens of Devin Allen. Shot in lush black and white, the captivating images unfold another aspect of Allen's photographic and love of his hometown, Baltimore. Devin gained international acclaim when his photograph made the cover of Time magazine. During our nation's most trying times, it is important that we continue to support the arts. The Beautiful Journey launches on May the 7th on the Baltimore City Hall Gallery Facebook page. I hope everyone stopped by the page to view work by one of our own who is still giving back to his beloved Baltimore. Before I open it up for questions, I want to take a moment to recognize National Nurses Week and thank all of our nurses for the incredible work they do every day to keep our residents healthy. While our nurses across Baltimore are in the news right now for their life-saving efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, it is important to recognize that their work impacts all of us on a daily basis year-round. To our nurses, while we are recognizing you this week, please know that your work is valued by all of us every day throughout Baltimore. And that goes for all of our first responders, whether they're working in housekeeping, the dietary, whether they're cleaning our streets, whether they're cutting out grass, whether they're doing any kind of work out to help make our city continue to provide the service that we need to do. So to even our reporters, thank you for the work that you do. And I'll be remiss if I didn't recognize our interpreters who are here, our deaf interpreters who are here to interpret so that our deaf community can also get the message that we care about them as well. Having a brother that's deaf, some other family members that's deaf, I can appreciate interpreters coming in to do the work that they do. So again, thank you for all that you do. And at this time, we'll take a few questions. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Actually, we have a question for you and probably also for the police commissioner, since we know some detail of what's in this. First of all, the question that city employees want to know, will there be layoffs?
Well, I'm going to tell you, that's the last thing that I want to do. We put out 3 scenarios to the unions, waiting for their response back. We haven't gotten a response back. And it's up to how they want to accept it. We're no different than any other jurisdiction. Some are laying off right now, and we have not done that. And because I know that when a person is laid off, it affects a whole family. It could really put families into homelessness, and that's the last thing I want to do. So I want to work with the unions to come up with a compromise that we can all work around and during this pandemic. And after the pandemic is over, everything that was promised to them, we can make sure when the economy recovers that we give it to them.
Do the unions have to agree to the pay freeze?
They have to agree, absolutely. And that's one of the proposals that we submitted. At this time, I'll call up Henry Raymond.
Yeah, good morning. As Mayor Young indicated, options have been presented to the unions. We're waiting on those unions to respond. The options include pay freeze, which means that individuals will not have a reduction in pay, furloughs, and again, we're waiting for the unions to respond. This item is worth about $15 million to assist in balancing the budget. And that's where it is right now with the unions, and that will determine what the next steps are that we have to take. Yep, thank you.
Can you give a sense of the 240 vacant positions that will be defunded? What kind of positions are those? What can residents expect that to affect?
Yep, as part of the balancing act for fiscal 21, to minimize immediate service reductions, we asked all agencies to look at vacancies that they had in their agencies, and we defunded approximately 250 positions for savings. In the short term, we do not believe that those positions have an immediate service impact. Over a period of time, some of those positions may have an administrative impact in terms of service delivery, but not for the immediate short term.
Can you give examples of what those positions are?
Oh, yeah. Those positions would run the gamut, anything from an office clerk, secretary, a fiscal clerk. It could be a procurement buyer, a budget analyst, an accountant. It runs across the board, but we tried to minimize freezing any positions that are essential, so public safety was excluded, and other critical frontline positions that provide services, i.e. solid waste, recycling, things of that nature. Yes, sir.
Anything else, guys? Thank you.
We have the police commissioner.
Oh, I thought you said me, okay.
The budget does propose some adjustments in the police department, 31 officers being taken out of specialized units such as mounted police and motorcycle units, some adjustment in the accident bureau, and then reducing the number of hours flown daily by Foxtrot. Is this, I mean, how do you respond to that?
Well, we had to make smart, hard decisions to make sure we save positions. You know, I advocated very strongly to not affect any positions or pay, but we found ourselves in unprecedented times. And so we had to make smart choices about how to make sure we can continue to deliver the services, but do it in a different way that doesn't cost as much. So it's a reorganization. We're not deleting the units or the services, but we're reorganizing to where we can deploy as needed with the same personnel. Still keep the equipment, still keep the personnel, but just do it in a different way that costs a lot less by trimming the way we spend overtime for those units. And we think we have a way to continue with Foxtrot and our flight hours that doesn't impact any police services.